There's an age-old saying, the faster you rise, the faster you fall. But have you noticed with these influencers, podcasters, actors, they only begin to fall when pride or a scandal enters their life. There's a lesson in there for all of us. Let's talk about it.
Marathon, yeah, say that to me, yeah, say that to me, oh marathon, you can say that to me, yeah, say that, you can say that to me, marathon. Yeah,
please like, share, and subscribe as always, and this episode is brought to you by NutriShop Parker, your one-stop shop for high-quality supplements, protein powders, and wellness products that actually deliver. Whether you're building muscle, burning fat, or just trying to feel better every day, NutriShop's experts can help you find what you're looking for. If you're local in Colorado, please stop by the Parker location for a personalized experience. If you're tuning in from anywhere in the USA, use code BRANDON at checkout for free shipping on your order. Link is in the description. Fuel your goals the smart way. That is the NutriShop way. Let's get into it. This is not going to be a rant of judgment, just an observation. I've been noticing patterns when it comes to these actors, podcasters, influencers, and it seems like there might be a correlation between public sin and public downfall. Sometimes even private sin and a public downfall. But keep in mind, this might be different than any video you've seen recently, because I don't believe failure is a punishment. Let's look at Job in the Bible. Sometimes the structure of failure is to bring you more closer to God, closer to success, closer to who you need to be. So failure is not what other influencers and people, in my opinion, says it is. But the reality is consequences do come because of your actions. And sometimes consequences are unforgiving. In the world of social media, all of these influencers, podcasters, actors, all of their sins are recorded. They don't get to experience a public forgiveness like they get to experience a public scrutiny or public consequence. So here's a few examples of people who are on the rise and then sin entered into their life in a public way and they lost everything that they were building, which may give you more of a lesson that if you're living in the public, you need to behave properly in the public. Carl Lentz was a prominent Christian figure. Unfortunately, he engaged in infidelity and lost his brand and ministry. I would say the most famous instance of this would be Will Smith, America's golden child who decided to engage in assault and lost his reputation pretty much forever. His reputation is damaged. He was the golden standard. His family was relationship goals. And now I don't think anybody will ever look at him the same again. We can go a little deeper on that. Is that a problem? Is it a problem to be so squeaky clean that people don't really see that there's realism in here, that there's a real life that we're dealing with, that this is a real human being? I think if you spend 30 years being squeaky clean, it's that much harder on the public to really look at you like a regular human being when it comes time to forgive you. And we all will need to be forgiven at some point. I really like the juxtaposition between Will Smith and Eminem. Eminem came in not squeaky clean and has never tried to be squeaky clean. He actually lives on the opposite of that. He airs out his dirty laundry. He talks stuff about himself. He explains to the public where he came from and how he is damaged because of that. Therefore, whenever he does fall publicly, he has a lot more grace, even though he's an outspoken, more of a sinner, more of a troublemaker than Will Smith. But Will Smith does not get any type of grace in the media. I've only seen one prominent figure really give Will Smith the benefit of the doubt, and I think that was Stephen A. Smith, and that's just one. There's hundreds of media outlets that benefited from interviewing him over the years. There's probably thousands of production companies who have made money from Will Smith's good name and talent, yet they are not in a position to forgive him for whatever reason. But let's stay on brand. Let's stay on point. There's a lot of musicians like Doja Cat who have engaged in a lot of intense fan hate, anti-fan rhetoric, anti-black rhetoric, hate speech in certain aspects, and their brands suffer because of that. This is the point I'm going to keep drilling on as I give you other examples. Integrity is the root of true success. As we continue, I want to reiterate again that this is not a judging, this is a pattern and an observation. I'm not saying I know things for a fact. I'm not saying that this is the position that I'm taking. I'm saying it's worth a conversation. Is there a correlation between your rise, your fall, and the sin that you engage in? Another biblical example is David. He lusted over Bathsheba, He didn't lose his kingdom, but his family and his relationships suffered. His legacy suffered. Samson, of course, let his pride and lust overrun his entire life, and destiny ended up dying from it. These are people who were prominent. These are a king, the strongest man alive. These are big figureheads who were given a lot by God and who did a lot with the blessings of God. But when it came time for them to make that ultimate self-sacrifice, dying to yourself, not choosing yourself, it ultimately took something precious from them. And we're seeing that still paralleled today. No one can escape sin because we're in a fallen world. You may think that this is a Christian discussion right now, even if you don't believe in Christ. Let's look at this from an objective standpoint. You look around, people are unhappy, people are dying, people are sad, people are destructive, people are lying, stealing, killing. People are not having a good time. It is a fallen world. And you may be looking at like there might have been other pockets in history that was true, that was full of true peace. I think that that's a fair conversation to have. I think we can definitely have that conversation. But as of now, I couldn't imagine anybody looking around thinking that we have a great world right now. I think everybody can agree that we're in a fallen world. So as we're in a flawed and fallen world, what do we do to maintain our own family self-peace? Because at the end of the day, Will Smith's peace is not my peace. I can choose my own peace, even despite my spouse, even despite my children, even despite my cousins, or you see what I'm saying? It's an individual choice, an individual path, an individual situation that we're dealing with. So if there are successful people who have never lost their prominence or their success, we have to look at a couple instances of people who have outwardly said integrity is the key to true success. Samuel Jackson is the first one that comes to mind. Samuel Jackson says your talent gets you in the door, but integrity lets you stay in the room. And as long as you remain integral, you can stay. I just watched Magazine Dreams last night with Jonathan Majors. Hopefully I'm saying this unbiasedly. I personally have never seen a performance that good in my whole life from any movie I've ever seen, and I'm a movie buff. Meaning that my position right now is that Jonathan Majors has already solidified himself as one of the best actors of all time. Yet, with that much talent, of course you see he got himself in the room, but when it came time to choose someone else over himself, when it came time, don't misunderstand me. I understand he was convicted of a misdemeanor and the media ran with him being a true assault type of person. I know an audio just came out about him strangling his girlfriend, things like that. But the point is that he wasn't allowed to stay in the room that his talent was fully making room for because of sin he's engaged in. Strangling a girl for whatever reason, strangling anyone for whatever reason is a sin. We shouldn't be putting our hands on anybody. There's no justification for violence. It was kind of a lack of control, a lack of emotional control, whatever you want to explain it. I don't really want to take a position on it because I don't really know too much of the story because every day something new is coming out. This is not a judging situation. But what I am saying is that there is sin involved in that situation and it's cost him a lot. And I'm not speaking out of turn because he said it himself. He was on Breakfast Club saying he regrets his actions. It's not who he is. He's done a lot of self-work. He's gotten closer to God. He said all these things. His wife, Megan Good, has got him closer to God. He's finding himself more, becoming more and stronger of a man. So that's my premise. That's where I'm basing it off of. So this is not a gossip situation. I'm using his own words, creating a correlation between what I've been seeing and what happened with his life, unfortunately. I do think that he's going to be on the rise as long as he stays on the straight and narrow path, because with overwhelming talent, you do get a little bit more opportunity, a little bit more leeway, typically. So what can you take away from this? Is your life falling apart? Have you reached the mountaintop and falling off because of something you've done? If you really want to break it down, I think that sin is always the reason that we fall off the mountaintop. It is rare that someone reaches the mountaintop, stays, and then dies of old age. Very rare. Superstar. But not all of us can be a superstar. So whether you reach the mountaintop, you got comfortable, and then you stopped working as hard, and then someone took your spot, or whatever it is, your company went under, you can put that in the category of laziness, of sloth. There's always a sin, and I can keep giving you examples. It could have been pride. It could have been you thinking that you were so solidified that you didn't have to do anything else. Sin is always the reason you fall off. Sin is also the reason why you don't make it up. Sin is also the reason why you stay stagnant. Everything good comes from God. Momentum comes from God. The uphill climb comes from God. The realization at the top comes from God. But keep in mind the Job situation. Even God can put obstacles in your path to really show you who you really are. God has a plan that none of us really know. But if you've taken anything from this video, it's that nothing happens for no reason. You just may not know the reason. So if you're looking at yourself, you're looking at your life, you're not where you want to be, you've fallen off, you haven't become, take a look inside, take a look at your actions, take a look at what you're engaging in, and reevaluate if you're really doing things on a straight and narrow path like you know you should, and it wouldn't hurt to make the adjustment. Success without true character is like a house without a foundation. Maybe you can get it to stand up, but not for long. Until next time.
Yeah, say that to me. Yeah, say that. Yeah, say that to me. Oh, marathon. You can say that to me. Yeah, say that. You can say that.